This is Professor Joe again here at the Hemingway House, and I'm on episode 10 of I'm on the overview of a screenplay project and a novel project in the Hemingway adventure travel genre, which is starts in 2029 and works its way back to 1540. And episode 10 starts with the Korean war game confrontation, which has been well covered in a lot of different journals, in which I war gamed myself when I was in active duty in the military for a man who later became the Secretary of Defense, Jim Mattis. The Korean war game scenario is one that escalates the near power conflict among the great powers, much as in Hemingway's time, the Spanish Civil War in the late 1930s gave way to a near-peer global conflict, World War II. Referring back to Hemingway's biography, Hemingway himself in 1937 met Martha Gellhorn just down the street at a place called Sloppy Joe's. And as you can see, the entire town of Key West is a very small, intimate coastal city. It's the southernmost point in the United States. And this is where Hemingway wrote for the years of his highest productivity as a writer, roughly 1931 to 1940. But then a global war came in 1940, 1941, and the journalists who had been covering the Spanish Civil War, like Hemingway and Gellhorn, also went on to cover that near-peer conflict, of course, World War II. Episode 12, episode 11 of Danger Close will go into the Iraq War in 2007 in the city of Ramadi, and it will work backwards through the 6 main phases of the Iraq counterinsurgency that has been outlined by Rory, who, since he's still on active duty, I'll just use his first name, outlined for us. And at the time, Rory was a 03. And in general, when I talk about the American services, I will identify him by the term 01, which is the Marine Corps second lieutenant, and so on up to 09, which would be a 4-star general, or E1, which would be a private, which Jose Mejia, Kurt Belmont started as in 2002, along with Adam Driver, who's gone on to be somewhat well known, to say the least, as the successor to Darth Vader. And so I will work backwards chronologically, and this gets into the reason that I model my episodes in reverse chronological order, because the Brazilian novel theme by Torres, first name Fernanda, who's a woman, great writer, and she very much is very much like Martha Gellhorn. Her novel wonderfully poses the question of what kind of life do you want to live as a man? And she does it by telling the biographical story of 5 Brazilian Rio de Janeiro karaoke, we would call them friends, in the period around 1969. But artistically and as a matter of literature, what she does well is pose the question of, do you want to live a long life in maybe a loveless marriage? Or do you want to live a shorter life that is happier because you kind of were more aggressive and took more chances and more risks, both sexually and in business and so on? It's an open question. There's not a right answer or a wrong answer. One of her characters is a priest who kind of offers another answer to that question. Not to put it too much of a spoiler, but he ends up in the book by Torres becoming a priest in northern Brazil, where priests can be married, or he goes there to be married after ministering to these 5 men. But anyway, thematically, the reason I'm using Fernanda Torres' reverse chronological order as a model for telling the story of my rifle company, my family, Lima 37, is because this is a story about my brother Marines who died. And I'm not going to spoil it too much, but the most well-known within the Marine Corps is someone named Major Rick Gannon, recipient of a Bronze Star, who died in 17 April 2004, which will, in my chronology, be episode 15. So I'll get back into my chronology here. So episode 12 will be Rory's kind of 5th phase of counterinsurgency. Episode 13 will be Rory's 4th phase of counterinsurgency. These will be the most violent parts of counterinsurgency. These will be the parts where Al-Qaeda in Iraq under Abu al-Zarqawi fought with the Marines in Ramadi and in Al-Khan. Episode 15 will be set in 2004, centering around the events of April 17th, when Jim Mattis, battlefield promoted O2 Dominique to O3 because he had to take over command of the rifle company. And episode 16 will be the invasion of Iraq in 2003. Episode 17 will be the Gulf War, because this is a series overall about the warrior monk and why Jim Mattis has been compared to saints. And I will argue through this series and the structure that the best comparison is to the Jesuits like Jose Anchieta. Episode 18 will be Vietnam, and then we'll be going into the Krulak family, who are a American military family that served through 2 generations and were the really spiritual, intellectual fathers of the Marine Corps, to which men like Jim Mattis and John Tulin, Joe Dunford inherited. And then episode 18 will feature the low-level battlefield implications of how the Marine Corps fought through men like Rick Gannon Sr., who fought in Vietnam, alongside heroes like 07 retired Mike Neal, who went on to be also a very successful attorney. Episode 19 will be World War II, where the veterans of the Banana Republic Wars, of the small wars like Brute Krulak, applied the lessons of counterinsurgency to a near-peer conflict. Episode 20 will be small wars, Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Nicaragua. And with that, I'll end the class today. I have to respect the time here. I recommend highly that anyone who has a chance come to see the Hemingway Home, Hemingwayhome.com. They do a great job here, and it's an honor as a American to be allowed to write here. And to all of my students in other countries, this is one of two great authors in American literature to understand American literature, the other being Mark Twain. And with that, have a nice day.